You have just watched a man commit a crime. I did something Bill Clinton was unable to do. I actually inhaled. This stuff is marijuana. The real McCoy. I've been smoking marijuana ever since 1967 in an effort to counter the effects of glaucoma, and I know the pot has worked at least 50% of the time because I can still see out of one eye. If you're a senior citizen, you could probably use a little repair work too. Maybe you've got a bad ticker, arthritis, weak bones, the heebie-jeebies. Or maybe you're depressed. Spirits are lower than sea level. You're in a constant blue funk. Well, I'm here to fix all that, and this is my magic potion. I give you the noble marijuana plant. That's right, marijuana. It's a pharmaceutical wonder, the penicillin of the 21st century. Add years to your life and life to your years with medicine from the Evergreen Pharmacy. Keep an open mind and I'll fill it with the magic smoke of the cannabis sativa bush and make you young again. But first, a word about my qualifications as a marijuana expert. I say a pot expert who hasn't smoked pot is no expert. Bill Clinton never did inhale. Our drug czars are all non-tokers who wouldn't know marijuana from marmalade, and yet they have the gall to lecture others on the perils of pot. I, on the other hand, have been stoned on pot every day since 1967 and know the truth about the stuff. I know more about marijuana than anybody except the Rastafarians. You remember them. They're the ones who made a religion out of pot smoking and saved millions from a life of sobriety. That's them there. I tried to join their group once, but they whiteballed me. Okay, now for a little history. A lot of people think pot smoking is a sin, but they're mostly idiots. The fact is, Adam and Eve were the very first potheads, and it says so right in the Holy Bible. Listen to this. Hold on. I'll just get my Bible. I got a copy right here. Because I know people aren't going to believe what I'm saying, but I'm telling you, it's right here in the Holy Bible. I've got it. Open the book to Genesis. And it says, and I quote, Eve did go forth and picketh weeds, which she did burneth. And Adam did saith, Here goeth a roach clip. And they did cloud their minds with smoke. It's right there in the good book. If your Bible doesn't have this quote, you're probably using an expurgated version, but take my word for it, I have a first edition, and it says it right here. And I say, if God provided marijuana for Adam and Eve, don't you think he wants you to have it too? But when Adam and Eve screwed up, God made their kids so stupid they didn't know pot from shoe polish. And nobody used marijuana again until about 25,000 years ago when it first reappeared in Spain. And how do we know this for sure? Easy. That's when cavemen painted the Altamira cave murals in northern Spain. These famous drawings were done by people with IQs of 20 or so. How could these brutish louts make such fine art without something to stimulate their low-grade brains? Something like marijuana, maybe. Many famous people smoked pot, and we have records to prove it. Moses was stoned when he saw that burning bush. We know he was stoned because nobody sees bushes catch on fire for no reason unless he's on something. In fact, Moses was so stoned he saw God, and seeing God is a classic stoner trip. Every pot smoker I know has seen God 3 or 4 times, so there must be a connection there somewhere. Socrates was stoned when he drank that hemlock. Some claim all the apostles were potheads except Judas, and that figures. That happens because marijuana makes people creative. Look at me. I've been a pothead for 30 years, and I'm making this stuff up out of thin air. Cicero wrote under the influence of marijuana, and so did Thomas Aquinas and Omar Khayyam and Bill Shakespeare and Jonathan Swift and yours truly. In fact, almost all important art was created by pot smokers. You mean this man wasn't on something? Or the guy who did this? Bach smoked pot, and so did Beethoven and Mozart and the Beatles and William F. Buckley Jr. and the Bush Boys and 80 million Americans, and you know what? The only people who aren't smoking marijuana today are senior citizens. That's you, and that's crazy. Most senior citizens have health problems, and marijuana is great medicine. For example, the Chinese used pot to relieve pain 4,000 years ago. Some also think all that pot smoking made them inscrutable, but I don't know about that. Pot smokers sometimes do get that stoned look, like somebody just hit them in the forehead with a shovel. But that's only superficial. On the inside of the average stoner's brain is a seething mass of energy and blinking lights and snapping synapses engaged in thinking really profound thoughts. When the Romans smoked marijuana, it turned them into pacifists, and they lost their empire because pot smokers hate violence. The Arabs smoked marijuana because they had to live in Arabia. You would too. But wait a minute. Isn't marijuana dangerous? What about that commercial with the frying pan? Won't pot fry your brain, destroy your memory, turn you into a lazy bum? Well, no it won't. After 30-plus years of pot smoking, my own brain is in top working order. In fact, every time I smoke a little marijuana, my IQ shoots up 20 points and I get a strong urge to learn algebra. It even works on lower animals, though how animals can be lower than some people I know is beyond me. The other day, my cat ate some marijuana I was growing, and an hour later, I caught her reading the Wall Street Journal. Another miracle. Somebody alert the Pope. More proof that marijuana is the wonder drug of the 21st century. Marijuana is even good for snake bites because the THC in pot neutralizes the venom. The only problem is you have to have fresh THC in your blood when you're bitten, and that means to be fully protected against snakes, you have to be stoned all the time. If you live in a snake-infested area, I suggest to smoke an extra joint or two a day just to be safe. Or do you have trouble sleeping? Do you get up in the night and can't go back to sleep? Smoke some pot at bedtime and you'll sleep the night through and halfway into the next morning. A caveat, though. Be careful about oversleeping if you have any anxious heirs hanging around. Some of them are mighty equipped with a sheet, and you may wake up and find yourself being trundled off to the nearest mortuary just for sleeping in one day. What's more, marijuana is